Hello and welcome to Sleepy Stories, a cozy corner where gentle bedtime stories and peaceful moments come together to help you drift off with ease. Tonight, we invite you to settle in for another comforting narrative, one crafted to help you unwind and find a sense of calm. But first, let's take a moment to prepare both body and mind for a soothing night's rest. Find a relaxed position, and with each slow inhale and gentle exhale, allow the day's cares to quietly slip away. It can be challenging to step away from the day's busyness, especially as bedtime nears. However, remember, the less we worry about falling asleep, the easier it is for our minds to release any lingering tension. Let the gentle rhythm of your breathing wash away any concerns and allow tonight's tale to guide you into a deeper state of relaxation. Now, settle in and let the tranquil atmosphere of sleepy stories surround you. Enjoy this story, and may your night be restful and restorative. Consciousness returned gently to Ilara, summoned by the distant lament of gulls and the tender weight of early sun upon her face. Stretching with languid indulgence beneath the sheets, she rolled to gaze at the ceiling, the sweet realization dawning slowly. Katahu kata, she was on vacation. Her watch, retrieved from the small bedside table, confirmed the hour was nascent. Unbroken slumber had held her through the night, leaving her feeling utterly restored, poised for the languorous day unfolding ahead. A profound hush still lay over the small inn. She might have believed herself the sole waking soul, had it not been for the soft click of a latch down the corridor, succeeded by whispering footfalls descending the stairs. Another early soul, moving with consideration. The thought brought a faint smile to her lips. This was tranquility itself, the perfect overture to her day. Sitting up, she eased back the downy white quilt, her feet finding the wide, lacquered planks of the floor. Beneath her toes, she felt their smoothness, a patina earned through more than a century of passage. Ilara rose, stretched, and drifted toward the window. Her room surveyed the inn's frontage. Across the quiet lane stood a procession of traditional older dwellings graced with generous porches. American flags stirred on a few. Bicycles leaned against others. Ilara's eye caught one of the comfortable, balloon-tired bicycles often seen near the shore, the kind that always seemed painted in cheerful hues, sunshine yellow or coral pink. As she watched, surfers ambled away from the shoreline, their vibrant blades tucked under their arms. They had undoubtedly greeted the dawn, riding the waves for hours already. Slick with seawater, contentment etched on their faces, they drifted back toward their cars, likely dreaming, she mused, of a substantial breakfast. Turning, peering sideways through the window pane, Ilara took in the inn's facade, its welcoming bay windows and exuberant flower boxes spilling forth petunias. The porch below was invitingly furnished with rocking chairs and small tables, perfect perches for a coffee cup or a glass of lemonade. One guest sat in quiet contemplation, scanning a newspaper, a wisping mug beside him. She resolved to claim a rocker for herself later. Ilara and her friend Maya planned to meet for breakfast when the inn's restaurant opened. Maya occupied another cozy chamber just down the hall. This seaside escape had been decided on a whim, conceived as the ideal antidote to their routines. Now, immersed in it, Ilara knew this secluded enclave had been the perfect sanctuary. It was such a tranquil hamlet, comprising little more than the inn, a slumbering neighborhood, and a modest kiosk for snacks, coffees, and sundries. The inn itself had anchored this spot for decades, the surrounding homes materializing gradually over the years. With the city's pulse only 20 minutes distant, the clamor of commerce had never encroached here. The inn provided thoughtful conveniences, umbrellas, chairs, beach toys. Sustenance was readily available at the restaurant, even packaged to carry onto the sand. What more could a vacationer truly desire? The serenity of this hidden cove was a worthy exchange for bustle. Ilara opened her sturdy canvas duffel, extracting the necessities for the beach. She relished the prospect of descending to breakfast, clad in the attire of pure leisure. There was an inherent loveliness in dressing solely for relaxation. She yearned to feel the sun-baked grains beneath her feet. The forecast promised flawless conditions for a day by the sea. After brushing her teeth and taming stray locks, Ilara laid her beach carry-all on the bed. She checked for her latest novel, sunglasses, lip balm, and water bottle. With everything assembled, a few minutes remained before meeting Maya. She decided on an early descent for coffee. Picking up her room key, tethered to its diamond-shaped plastic fob displaying her room number, she stepped into the hallway, quietly securing the weathered white door behind her. The bleached floorboards in the corridor mirrored those in her room, stretching along the narrow passage and lending the space an airy lightness. Staircases at either end led down to the lobby level. Between the room doors hung vintage prints depicting bygone beachgoers in their charmingly dated bathing suits. One was an antique illustration of a lobster. Ilara chose the longer route, walking the hall's length to the farther stairs and descending into the lobby. The front desk stood unattended. A small bell rested upon it should immediate assistance be required. Yet, since her arrival, Ilara hadn't witnessed anyone ring it. Haste had no place here. Stepping into the well-stocked coffee alcove, she selected a mug, filling it with a steaming dark brew from the dispenser. A tentative sip brought an appreciative nod as the robust character unfolded on her palate. This inn brewed good coffee. Only a few moments now before Maya would appear. Ilara pushed open the screen door, emerging onto the spacious porch. The man with the newspaper had vanished. The entire expanse was hers. Settling into a wicker chair, she placed her mug on a nearby table and leaned back gently. Even at this early hour, the air was mild and welcoming. A soft breeze stirred, lifting tendrils of hair that had escaped her ponytail. She felt she could drift into a nap right there, linger all day, but the beach beckoned. After a few minutes, the screen door creaked open again. and Maya poked her head out. "Good morning," she offered. "Ready for breakfast?" Together, the women navigated toward the inn's restaurant. The host greeted them with genuine warmth, leading them out to the screened porch flanking the building. Ilara and Maya were delighted to secure a cozy table for two in a sun-drenched corner. Their server poured ice water from a charming carafe centered on the table, took their orders, and promised a swift return. While awaiting their meal, the two friends pored over a paper copy of the takeout menu. They knew they'd want provisions for a beachside lunch later. Options abounded, from chilled sandwiches to boardwalk-style comforts like grilled cheese and hot dogs. Ilara settled on a lobster roll with mayonnaise. Maya chose a chicken salad sandwich. One of Ilara's enduring affections for beach days was the heightened pleasure of food consumed seaside. Something about the salt air and sandy repose amplified every flavor. She eagerly anticipated biting into that lobster roll after several hours by the shore. As they ate breakfast, other diners gradually filled the surrounding tables. A family occupied a larger table nearby, their conversation animated with recollections of yesterday's beach exploits. Other tables seemed held by couples on romantic retreats or old friends enjoying a weekend reunion. The prevailing mood was one of relaxed contentment. Nearly everyone sported shorts, sun hats, or flip-flops. Having finished their bagels, fresh squeezed orange juice, and fruit, Ilara and Maya pushed back from their table, gathering their beach carryalls. They were ready for the brief stroll to the water's edge to claim their perfect spot for the day. Passing back through the lobby to the front porch, they availed themselves of the complimentary beach gear. Maya selected an umbrella, while Ilara chose two beach chairs equipped with shoulder straps for easy transport. They descended the front steps, merging with the growing trickle of people ambling toward the surf. The neighborhood was so profoundly quiet, sidewalks were deemed unnecessary. Residents simply emerged from houses along the lane, embarking on the 5-minute walk to the sand, everything they needed in tow. It possessed an effortless simplicity. Ilara marveled inwardly at the luxury of staying so intimately close to the water. Their location was transformative. Within minutes, the two friends reached the steps leading down to the sand, which unfurled before them an inviting golden ribbon. Fortuitously, the tide was low. The beach, for now, was at its most generous expanse. Children arriving with parents shed their sand toys instantly, racing each other toward the water's hem. The parents chuckled, surveying the sand for spots likely safe from the incoming tide, at least until early afternoon. Ilara and Maya followed their cues, observing the sand's texture. They planted their umbrella where the sand was dry and soft, avoiding the damp, smooth stretches recently claimed by the sea. Traveling light, just the two of them, Ilara and Maya were quickly established, their umbrella angled just so, their chairs oriented toward the gently glittering surf. Leaning back into her seat, Ilara released a profound sigh, closing her eyes. The rhythmic murmur of waves drifted soothingly across the sand, punctuated by the faint, sporadic cries of gulls. A light breeze carried the invigorating scent and elusive taste of salt. She wished she could freeze this moment. It was perfection. For several minutes, the friends sat in companionable silence, absorbing the profound beauty of the place. Then, easy conversation flowed for a time. Eventually, both Ilara and Maya retrieved their novels, a silent accord passing between them. This was a time for literary immersion. Around them, other beachgoers settled into their own rhythms. A nearby family commenced construction on an elaborate sand fortress, their small children making innumerable treks to the surf, hauling buckets of water to fill the moat. The sand's thirsty absorption mattered little. The fetching itself was glorious entertainment. A young couple tossed a frisbee back and forth, their dog leaping joyfully between them, attempting to intercept the soaring red disc. Occasionally, an errant throw sent the frisbee skittering near another beach blanket, where it was cheerfully retrieved and returned. Most retrievers also requested permission to pet the dog, who seemed eager to befriend every soul on the sand. There was no boardwalk here. No advertising banners trailed behind droning airplanes. No traffic noise intruded. This beach truly felt like a sweet, cherished secret kept from the wider world. In this unhurried fashion, time dissolved unnoticed. Ilara lost track of how long she read, only realizing at some point that the sun rode high overhead and she had drifted asleep, her book resting open in her lap. Stirring, she glanced at Maya, who regarded her with a smile over the top of her own novel. Ilara wasn't sure of the exact time, but knew she was decidedly ready for the lobster roll she'd brought. They opened their bag, unwrapping their lunch with anticipation, nestling cold water bottles into the sand beside them, and tearing open bags of potato chips with a satisfying crackle. The tide had crept closer since their arrival. Children who had been boundless bundles of energy hours before now drifted toward the shade of parental tents and umbrellas, claiming midday snacks. Ilara noticed a mother nearby, a baby clearly asleep across her lap. The sea air possessed a peculiar magic, both refreshing and soporific. The lobster roll and chicken salad sandwich were soon devoured. Both were exceptional. Ilara and Maya concurred. Dusting stray crumbs from her lap, Ilara stood, announcing to Maya her intention to dip her toes in the water. Maya nodded understandingly. Hours under the sun made the sparkling water seem utterly irresistible. Ilara wandered down to the waveline, watching her feet as the surf advanced, washing over her ankles. The chill was delicious, a perfect counterpoint to the accumulated warmth of the sun. Bending, she splashed the frigid water onto her shoulders and the back of her neck. Shielding her eyes, she surveyed the activity in the water, A woman floated nearby on an inner tube, calmly eating an ice cream sandwich. "Now that's inspired thinking," Alara grinned to herself. She stood observing the wet sand beneath her feet as the water surged in, paused, then receded with a gentle hiss. Tiny flecks of some glittery gold substance were suspended in the sand, visible only when submerged. It was unexpectedly pretty. Strolling along the surf's edge, she reached a rocky outcrop riddled with tide pools. Balancing carefully on the uneven stones, she peered into the trapped pockets of seawater, watching minuscule hermit crabs scurry about their miniature worlds. Children knelt nearby, absorbed in close examination of the creatures. One bolted back toward his parents on the dry sand, eager to report his thrilling discovery. Looking up from the pools, Alara could see Maya, now appearing small and distant on the beach. She slowly retraced her steps along the encroaching tide line until she reached their umbrella and sank back into her chair. Picking up her book again, Alara noticed Maya had dozed off and smiled inwardly. Even that short amble along the shore had renewed her desire to simply sit and be. As the afternoon mellowed, time seemed to suspend itself. Alara frequently looked up from her novel, pleasantly lost in contemplation. She watched a man skillfully flying a vibrant kite, observed the steady growth of the sand fortress nearby. Some of the children she'd seen running tirelessly earlier now slept soundly in the shade beside their parents. A few surrounding families began the slow process of departure, shaking sand from buckets, filling in excavated holes, collapsing colorful beach chairs. Aided by the turning tide, the water now lapped much closer to where they sat. When Maya awoke from her nap, Ilara confessed to feeling rather warm and surprisingly hungry again. Maya agreed it might be an opportune moment to return to the inn for a snack and to prepare for dinner. Gathering their belongings and the borrowed beach equipment, Ilara and Maya slipped on their flip-flops and slowly ascended the stone stairs behind them, returning to the street level. It was a bustling time of afternoon up there. Not only were numerous beachgoers packing up and heading away from the water, but various activities were blossoming in the yards of the homes facing the lane. At one sprawling house, a family engaged in a light-hearted game of croquet. Next door, a group arranged an outdoor table for a meal while children tumbled in and out of the house. Some of the youngsters looked freshly bathed and dressed for dinner. Others, still gloriously sandy in bathing suits, were likely awaiting their turn, chasing each other through the yard with dripping popsicles. Alara and Maya soon arrived back at the inn, gratefully depositing the umbrella and chairs on the porch. After a thorough dusting, they carefully stacked the borrowed items where they had found them, leaving them ready for the next guests. Entering the lobby, they were delighted to discover they had timed their return perfectly for the afternoon coffee hour. Not only were hot beverages and iced lemon water available, but trays of warm chocolate chip cookies lay arranged, each nestled in its own paper sleeve. Ilara selected one that looked particularly promising, smiling as she slid it free and took a bite. The cookie was perfectly soft generously studded with large crystals of white sugar, the semi-sweet chips still slightly molten. Sinking into two plush easy chairs in the lounge area, Alara and Maya grinned at each other, savoring their cookies in contented silence. These treats were the perfect interlude before their late dinner reservation. They watched the ebb and flow of people through the lobby for a while. Some exchanged warm greetings. Others approached the desk attendant with queries. After a bit, Maya suggested they retreat to their respective rooms to rest and refresh themselves. They agreed it would be lovely to reconvene at twilight for a neighborhood stroll before dinner. In single file, they climbed the old wooden staircase to the upper level. Reaching the hall, they parted ways, promising to meet in the lobby shortly. Alara slid her key, still attached to its plastic fob, into the lock. It turned with a satisfying clunk, and the door swung inward. Her room welcomed her, afternoon sun slanting through the window, her bed a soft mountain of white linens. She sighed with pure happiness. After freshening up for dinner, Alara curled into the decadent orange velvet chair by the window. From this regal perch, she watched people strolling along the lane below. The petunias in the window box nodded cheerfully in the breeze. She observed the various groups migrating homeward from their own late afternoon pursuits. A nap, a game, a convivial chat. Leaning her head against the chair's high back, she inhaled and exhaled deeply several times. She couldn't recall the last time she had felt so utterly relaxed. Without conscious intent, Alara slipped into a light doze. She awoke to the gentle flutter of her white curtains against the backdrop of the setting sun. A glance at her watch revealed she hadn't slept long. She was still perfectly on time to meet Maya. Rising and stretching, she circled the room slowly, collecting her small purse and key. Then she slipped quietly into the hallway, locking her door just as Maya appeared a few doors down, doing precisely the same. Together, they descended to the lobby. The coffee station remained, though the cookies had been cleared in preparation for the dinner service. Peeking into the restaurant, Alara saw servers arranging tables and seating the first evening guests. She and Maya would be more than ready for a leisurely dinner after their walk. As they pushed through the swinging screen door onto the porch, the faint musical clinking of water glasses drifted from within the inn. Turning toward the beach, they were met by a sky ablaze with pink and orange, a spectacular sunset. Many neighbors were out in their yards, witnessing the celestial display. As they ambled down the lane, they found themselves captivated by the unfolding scenes at each home. The houses themselves possessed a charming individuality, each built in its own distinct style, reflecting the owner's taste and its era of construction. A modest Cape Cod with a slanted roof and winsome shutters might sit beside a more contemporary structure featuring vast expanses of glass. Next to that, perhaps, a traditional farmhouse-style home boasting a wide, gracious porch. Many houses featured tables and outdoor furniture, clear evidence of frequent alfresco dining. In one yard, they spotted a woman relaxing with a little girl in a hammock. At this hour, as dusk settled and houses glowed from within, windows thrown open wide, it was easy to glimpse occupants enjoying time together indoors as well, people sipping drinks on sofas, gathered around cheese boards, even playing the piano. At one home, a pile of sand toys dried near the garage, while a man tossed a ball with two small girls in the front garden. Dogs pranced excitedly behind picket fences. "What a fine life for a dog," Ilara mused. She noticed more and more people emerging to set up luminaries along their driveways. White paper bags weighted with sand, each cradling a lit candle in its center. Some homes lacked luminaries but compensated with white string lights draped around trees and fences. Maya recalled seeing a flyer mentioning that today was designated the Night of White Lights, explaining the festive illuminations. Ilara found it utterly charming. The street looked magical. Their stroll eventually led them along a stretch running parallel to the beach. The tide, having reached its zenith while they rested, was now receding again. Figures in pairs and small groups, apparently having wandered from evening activities, dotted the shore line, admiring the moon or tossing toys for their dogs. Ilara loved that most seemed to have ventured the block or two entirely barefoot. Ilara and Maya soon found themselves back at the inn, marveling at the perfect timing of their walk's conclusion. Re-entering the lobby, they waited patiently for the restaurant host to guide them to their reserved table. The atmosphere inside the spacious dining room was now enchanting. Votive candles flickered on every table, and the two screened porches on either side were filled with diners leaning intimately over their meals, engaged in quiet conversation. Ilara and Maya were seated at a snug table in a nook, perfectly positioned to feel the warm evening breezes drifting past. Perusing their menus, they found choosing difficult. Offerings catered to every palate: fresh seafood, pastas, wood-fired pizzas, and more. After considerable deliberation, Ilara decided on a seafood pasta, while Maya opted for pizza. Both dishes proved sublime, especially after a long day spent surrendering to the beach's embrace. Why, Ilara wondered idly, did merely sitting in the sand induce such profound hunger? It remained one of life's pleasant mysteries. They followed their main courses with a shared slice of cheesecake. Ilara took care to savor every mouthful, slicing off tiny portions with her fork, appreciating the dessert's rich creaminess. Once the cheesecake was finished, they both had to concede they were truly ready for bed. The two friends felt full, profoundly content, and more relaxed than either could remember being. Thanking their server and the host, they walked very slowly back into the lobby. The sole occupant now was the nighttime desk attendant, diligently clearing the last vestiges of the coffee service and preparing the drink station for the morning rush. She turned and offered them a warm smile. "Did you enjoy your dinner?" she inquired. They both nodded enthusiastically, affirming its excellence, and it truly had been. Ilara and Maya each poured a fresh glass of water from the drink station before heading upstairs to their rooms. Parting ways on the landing, They exchanged quiet good nights. This marvelous day, they both knew, would linger long in their memories. Back in her room, Alara sank gratefully into the deep, soft bed. Gazing around with appreciation, she reflected on the sheer loveliness of the place. Thanks to the balmy temperatures, the windows remained open, admitting the occasional drift of conversation or the whir of a bicycle from the street below. Ilara propped herself against a mound of white pillows, angling her book into the golden pool of light cast by the bedside lamp. The silence within the room felt absolute, as though she occupied a tiny, peaceful cocoon drifting through the gentle world of the seaside town outside. She had entertained notions of finishing her novel, but soon her eyelids grew heavy. Alara recognized it was time for sleep. Setting her book aside for the morrow, she flattened the pillow landscape, reached over, and extinguished the lamp. Turning onto her side, she gazed drowsily at the sliver of moonlight painting a path across the white floorboards. In the darkness, everything here seemed rendered in gold and white, she thought, hovering now on the edge of sleep. The salty breeze stirred her curtains once more. As she slipped into sweet dreams, Ilara heard the distant, rhythmic sigh of the surf breaking upon the sand. Then she slept. Good night. A resonant chime cleaves the air as you navigate a thoroughfare paved in weathered brick. Nearby, the gentle clatter of ceramic meeting saucer at a sidewalk cafe weaves a soft auditory tapestry. No automobiles intrude upon this slender, captivating artery in Bordeaux's heart. It pulses instead with pedestrians, the occasional whirring bicycle, and the contented patrons of the cafe, their pleasant murmurings a current beneath the bell's lingering echo. Your destination, a rendezvous with Antoine, your local cicerone, for a second day delving into the layered marvels of this venerable French city. The bell's toll is no mere coincidence. Its source, the very monument you approach, marks both the hour and your meeting place. This is the Grosse Cloche, the great bell, among France's most ancient belfries, a treasured sentinel of the city's past. Eyes lifting, you behold the bell tower materializing at the street's terminus, elegantly framed by handsome buildings flanking its sides. Its silhouette echoes the striking medieval gatehouse encountered earlier, a tall, slender structure reminiscent of a storybook fortress, a solid rectangle of stone crowned with multiple rounded turrets, its base pierced by a commanding archway, transforming it into a portal. And a portal it once was, you recall. The Grosse Cloche served as an entrance through the formidable walls girding the city during the tumultuous Middle Ages, a time when Bordeaux, like so many towns, relied on such ramparts for defense. Yet, this gatehouse diverges from its counterpart in numerous particulars. Most notably, suspended within an aperture roughly 2/3 up its stony height, hangs an immense bell. It is this bronze throat whose vibrations just rippled through the quarter, marking its ceremonial monthly sounding. Fortuitously, This coincides precisely with your appointed meeting time with Antoine, who thoughtfully arranged your encounter so you might experience its formidable voice from the protective embrace of several blocks away. Drawing nearer the substantial stone gateway, you spot him poised in the cool shadow just beyond the arch, his stance a study in relaxed readiness. Antoine greets you with genuine warmth, his keen eyes alight, mirroring the appreciation dawning on your face. You witness his palpable excitement, the eagerness to unfurl his passion, the chronicle of his cherished city. Following brief pleasantries, Antoine embarks on his forte, the spinning of tales. He is a virtuoso, weaving historical threads and intimate details into a vibrant tapestry of human experience that unfurls vividly in the mind's eye. He commences by indicating a weather vane perched at the building's apex. Fashioned as a lion, he explains, it symbolized the English monarchy. The gatehouse itself, he elaborates, arose during Bordeaux's tenure under the English crown. You remember the history. The city once anchored the independent Duchy of Aquitaine. In the High Middle Ages, this territory passed to English dominion when its Duchess, Eleanor, wed the heir to England's throne. For 3 centuries, it remained tethered to England before ultimately becoming French soil after the protracted conflict known as the 100 Years' War. Though undeniably a defensive bastion, Antoine shares, the townsfolk centuries ago sometimes jestingly dubbed it the Golden Lion Hotel, inspired by the Leonine weather vane. It is with such captivating minutiae, delivered in his melodic cadence, that your guide ensnares the imagination. Even as he speaks, the boisterous laughter of medieval sentinels seems to ricochet off the enduring stone. Together, you step into the archway's cool umbra. Set into the yellowish stone is an engraved plaque. Antoine directs your gaze towards it now. It offers a translation of a Latin inscription borne by the colossal bell itself, a fanciful accounting of its manifold duties. Antoine offers his own rendition, reciting softly, I summon arms, I herald the days, I mark the hours, I banish the storm, I chime for feasts, I cry out the fire. And so it did, across bygone eras. The tower's bells served as the city's alarm, alerting inhabitants to sieges or perils like conflagrations. You and Antoine proceed through the arch, emerging to view the Grosse Cloche from its opposite aspect. Stepping into the sun's warming caress, you find yourself on a narrow pedestrian stretch that culminates in a broader, modern avenue beyond. There, a current of automobiles glides over contemporary asphalt, bearing Bordeaux's residents towards their myriad destinations. Nowadays, Antoine clarifies, the bell tolls for a select few ceremonial occasions alongside its noon peal on the first Sunday of each month. Its potent voice resounds on New Year's Day and 4 other significant dates. 3 commemorate the World Wars, conflicts waged on local soil that cast long shadows over this ancient land's recent past. November 11th, marking World War I's armistice. May 8th, observing Victory in Europe Day for World War II. And August 28th, the anniversary of Bordeaux's liberation in that same war. The bell also rings proudly on July 14th, Bastille Day, commemorating the French Revolution's dawn, the monarchy's twilight, and the eventual rise of the French Republic. The gentle susurrus of traffic from the modern street behind subtly penetrates your awareness as you absorb these facts. The sun's warmth suffuses you with a tranquil contentment, your thoughts meandering pleasantly. In a place such as this, the very current of history feels almost tangible. The continuum of human existence feels profoundly real, ever present, where antiquity and modernity coexist in such seamless concord. Low metal bollards demarcate the car-free zone where you stand from the bustling roadway, retractable, for authorized vehicles. Here, stone bricks form an entrancingly archaic pattern underfoot, displacing the asphalt. Nearby, a woman captures a photograph of two children beaming before the bell tower. A pair of young people, students perhaps, amble past, one leisurely wheeling a cobalt blue bicycle. They are unhurried. His presence draws your eye to an unnoticed detail. A dozen or more vibrant bicycles stand neatly arrayed along one side of this pedestrian block before a shop entrance. A bike store, presumably, lending a charmingly quotidian touch to this time-honored locale. The woman and children, their photo session concluded, skip away, their happy chatter fading. Beside you, Antoine speaks anew. Like the gatehouse, the bell within possesses its own narrative, he imparts. Or rather, the bells, plural, for many have hung within this ancient monument across the centuries. Some 500 years passed, shortly after Bordeaux rejoined France, a French king confiscated the bell to chastise the city for rebellion. Years later, it was reinstated as a reward for their improved conduct. That specific bell, taken by the rather petulant monarch, is long vanished naturally. The current inhabitant is no youngster either. It was cast in 1775, mere moments before the United States of America declared its independence. But now, Antoine guides you away from this medieval vestige towards a more contemporary vista. You turn to face the asphalt artery with its stream of cars. Wider than the serpentine lanes of the oldest quarters, it boasts broad sidewalks. This avenue embodies the dynamic pulse of a thoroughly modern city, though echoes of the past remain ubiquitous. Elegant edifices of warm-hued stone, adorned with wrought iron balustrades, line the street, strongly resembling the iconic Parisian architecture that shapes the popular image of French cities. Mature, leafy trees flank the thoroughfare, casting dappled shade upon the walkways. You stroll within this pleasant coolness now, observing passers-by while admiring the grand structures. You pass one now, its large rectangular windows partially veiled by picturesque iron grills, its stone facade embellished with ornate carvings. Twin columns sentinel the building's immense arched entrance, within which a double door of polished wood displays incredibly intricate designs. You pause, captivated by its beauty. Above this magnificent portal, inscribed in elegant script upon the stone, Université de Bordeaux, your breath catches slightly at the loveliness of this seat of learning. Then you proceed, Antoine steering you towards the next chapter of your exploration. There is no rush, however. Both you and he understand that simply traversing these timeless streets, observing, absorbing, constitutes a significant part of the experience. Your breathing settles into a gentle rhythm as your steps fall into perfect synchrony. Soon, you arrive at Rue Sainte-Catherine, renowned as Europe's longest pedestrian-only promenade. Turning onto it, you are instantly enveloped by its prodigious charm. It is a delightful, bustling commercial way, thronged now with people. Some navigate with purpose, errands apparent. Others meander leisurely. All, quite clearly, are enjoying themselves. And how could they not? The street's intrinsic allure rivals the magnetic pull of its enticing shops. Glossy, beige, diamond-shaped tiles pave its expanse, bordered by square gray tiles creating an appealing contrast. Footsteps shuffle agreeably across this gleaming surface as voices intermingle around you. A young woman drifts past, shopping bags dangling from one arm, a vibrant bouquet clutched in the other. An elderly gentleman approaches from the opposite direction, a long, slender baguette protruding from an intriguing cloth satchel slung over his shoulder. A bag whose narrow form, you realize, could serve no other conceivable purpose. You continue along this captivating street, and soon another imposing archway looms ahead, signaling Rue Sainte-Catherine's conclusion. It bears little resemblance to the Grosse Cloche where today's journey began. The arch's interior vault is much higher, unattached to a castle-like medieval edifice. This is a triumphal arch, erected in the 18th century after the ancient city walls were dismantled. Through its opening, perfectly framed, stands a tall, slender obelisk within a vast plaza. This, Antoine informs you, is the Place de la Victoire, Victory Square. Passing beneath the impressive arch, you step onto an immense cobblestone expanse. White stones form diamond patterns radiating outward from the central obelisk. This intriguing sculpture is crafted from so-called red marble, which appears sun-bleached and pinkish in reality. Facing away from the obelisk rests a bronze statue of an enormous turtle. Both obelisk and turtle, Antoine explains, are relatively modern additions intended to honor the vital role of the wine industry in Bordeaux. The turtle signifies the industry's slow, steady development since the Romans introduced choice vines millennia ago. In days long past, this vast open space served as fairground situated just outside the city walls. Today, it thrives with people strolling or lounging at the obelisk's base. A cluster of young people engages in earnest conversation nearby, while several cyclists glide across the cobblestones. Antoine proposes a respite, suggesting a beverage at a cafe bordering the plaza. You readily assent. He leads you to a neat row of attractive chairs sheltered beneath large crimson umbrellas. You settle into one of the comfortable seats woven from vinyl. A waiter, his apron immaculately tied, materializes, and you request a menthe à l'eau. This invigorating concoction, sweet mint syrup blended with chilled mineral water, is a personal favorite. You cherish it partly for its delightful freshness, especially on a warm afternoon like this one. But mostly, you adore its distinctiveness. For you, it viscerally embodies the south of France, instantly evoking this magical region to all your senses. The waiter delivers your drink in a tall, slim glass. The liquid within glows a vivid Kelly green, the glass itself appearing almost frosted by condensation, An agreeable minty fragrance greets your nostrils. You inhale deeply. A sip brings coolness to your tongue. At surrounding tables, a multitude of voices speaking diverse global languages merge and float on the afternoon air. You permit your eyes to close momentarily, listening. The various tongues seem to coalesce into a single composite human language that you fancy you can almost decipher. French flows from multiple directions naturally. Nearby, you discern a stream of what sounds like Italian. The name Bordeaux is uttered with near reverence. Further off, a snatch of English praises the grand plaza before you. From another direction drift the lilting tones of a Scandinavian language. Woven through all these voices is a common thread: enthusiasm, hope, admiration, and a deep respect for the beauty of human creation surrounding you all. It is this undercurrent, this shared energy, that forms the unified expression you imagine understanding. You feel its meaning, its emotions, resonating deep within. It mirrors the human experience shared among these disparate people from across the globe, and shared too among all those who walked here before, whose stories linger palpably in this place. You inhale slowly, acknowledging your connection to them all with a profound knowing that fills your being. You feel utterly integrated with the world around you, with the vast sweep of time. And then you exhale, completely at peace in this place, this moment, this unfolding story of Bordeaux.